Hey, what's going on everyone? How are you guys doing today? It's Anol here and welcome back to another 2 video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about getting to Legend and getting that sweet Not Forgotten. We're going to be going over tips to help you get there and things that you should be doing that are going to make your journey to Legend hopefully a little bit easier. And the first thing that we want to do before we even get into the tips is we want to talk about the quest a little bit. And I'm just going to assume that you already have your Luna's Howl. And if you guys haven't gotten your Luna's Howl, you gotta get that one first before you can actually start on Not Forgotten. But let's just say you just got your Luna's Howl. The first thing that you gotta do is now take it into competitive and get some actual Luna's Howl kills in the competitive playlist. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like 300 kills with the Luna's Howl. And you wanna do this as soon as you can. The lower in the ranks, the better, and the easier it's gonna be to actually get a lot of kills and complete the quest just a lot faster. So I definitely recommend that before you start your journey to Legend, where you're really pushing for Legend, you should get done with this part of the quest first, before going on farther. But let's say that now you're done with that quest, you got the kills, now all there's left to do is actually get to 5500. Hit that Legend. And now let's actually talk about that. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is loadouts. I recommend that you have at least 2 loadouts, one for some of the close range maps, one for some of the long range maps, so you can just switch between them depending on the map that you get. Especially with Widow's Score that pops up really often, you definitely want to have something for some of the long range maps. Now when it comes to the actual weapons and armor, you pretty much want to use your best weapons. You want to go in there with the weapons that you know the best and the ones that you feel the most comfortable with. And something to keep in mind when choosing your weapons, remember, do not play to the restrictions of other people. Play the game how you want to play, use the weapons that you want to use. It doesn't matter if other people think they're cheap, if they are easy weapons. Use the weapons that you feel comfortable with and just try to get those wins. That's what we're here in competitive for. We're trying to get the wins and get to Legend. So we want to get every single advantage that we can, and to make that possible we gotta use the weapons that we're comfortable with. So use whatever you want and do not restrict yourself. This is competitive. You want those wins. Okay, next up is gonna be team play. Team play is gonna be super important, but this one's gonna be quite different if you're playing on your pre-made fire team or if you're playing in the solo playlist. Just because in the solo playlist there's not as much communication, there's not as much team play, and also the quality of your teammates tends to vary quite a bit. They can be gods one game and then potatoes the next. You never really know what you're gonna get. It can be pretty hit or miss. But if you got your pre-made fire team, let's say that you went out of your way, found a pre-made fire team, then you have a lot of good things going for you. You have very consistent teammates, since you're always playing with the same 2 people, and hopefully much better communication, and eventually after you play some games together, much better synergy. The more you play with someone, the better you get at playing with them, playing to their strengths, and the better you overall become as a team. This is not gonna happen, just from one game to the next. This is definitely gonna take a couple of games, maybe a couple of play sessions, but you should definitely try to get comfortable with the team that you got and you're trying to climb to Legend with. So because of that, always make sure to do some callouts so you can let your teammates know where the enemy is, so they can get flanked and so they can make some better plays. Basically, communication is key. If you're planning on doing something, make sure that you let your teammates know so they can know how to respond. Don't just do something on your own, because you're gonna end up wasting some lives and maybe not giving your teammates enough time for them to back you up. So make sure to communicate always, and you're just gonna have much better results. Now if you're a solo player and decided to go into the solo playlist, decided to go with the solo route, then things are gonna be at the same time easier and also more difficult when it comes to getting to Legend. And I'll get into that in a second. First of all, your teammates are not going to be consistent at all. Like I said, sometimes they're going to be gods, sometimes they're going to be potatoes. It just really depends on the matchmaking. You're at the mercy of the matchmaking and what kind of teammates it wants to give you. Also, there's almost little to no communication in competitive. Very few times I actually got someone to join me in the chat while I was playing some solo competitive. It's just something that just doesn't happen, and it's something that you shouldn't really expect, because most of the people will not join you. So don't expect a lot of communication with your teammates. So all you're gonna have to do is just kinda rely on their position, stay close to them, and back them up whenever you see them get into a gunfight. That's all you're gonna have to do. Just play around your blueberries, and that's how you're gonna end up getting the wins. Make sure that you always are able to back up your blueberries, or if your blueberries are getting shot and the enemies are flankable, then you can definitely go for a flank. Because remember, the rules that apply to you will most likely also apply to the enemies. They also don't have as much communication, so you can exploit some of that lack of communication to your advantage. But ideally, always try to stick to your teammates, and you're gonna have much more success, even at some of the higher ranks like 5,000 plus. Also, I feel that the 5,000 plus games in the solo playlist are a lot easier. Just because of the fact that there's not a lot of communication, and that teams just kind of lack that synergy that a lot of teams in the normal survival playlists actually have, and make some of those 5,000 plus games a bit more difficult there. So both of the playlists are going to have their advantages and disadvantages, so it's going to be all up to you to choose which route you're going to take to your Not Forgotten. Now next up, we're going to be talking about tilt and mentality in competitive. You always want to have a clear mind when playing competitive. You want to try to play your best, and once you start getting angry, once you feel that you're starting to tilt, maybe the game is just not going your way, you're dying to a lot of things that you don't feel like you should be dying to, you gotta take a step back, take a deep breath, and just gather your thoughts. Because if you let the tilt control you, if you start getting angry, you start making bad decisions, it's just gonna lead you into a spiral of more deaths and more losses, and before you know it, you're gonna lose a lot of glory. If you ever feel that you're tilting, that you're getting too angry at the game, then I think that it's gonna be time to stop for that day and come back another day with a level head when you're ready to play some more competitive, because you really don't want to go into competitive back again after you start tilting, because it's just gonna make things worse, and that's not what we want. So make sure that when you're playing competitive, you always have a level head, that you're not angry, and that you're making the best possible decisions that you can, and that you're playing always your best. Also, another thing, this kind of applies to tilting and I guess giving up. Never give up on matches. Even when the matches seem hopeless, even when you're losing 3-0 and 2 of your teammates just died at the beginning of the round, they can still be comebacks. I've seen some just amazing comebacks just this season alone. Comebacks in competitive are something that happens pretty often, especially at some of the higher ranks. Things are not over until you actually see the defeat screen. So I believe that you should always give it 100% till the end, and you'll see that some fantastic comebacks can actually happen. All you gotta do is just get some momentum, and that can quickly snowball into a win. It's just amazing things that can happen in competitive. So never give up, and you'll see some of the amazing comebacks that can happen. They won't happen every match, but they're always a possibility. You always gotta keep that in mind. And one last thing that I wanted to add, that I probably should have added when I was talking about team play, is about map control. You wanna control the heavy. Heavy wins games, and right now the heavy is kind of just out of control. There's way too much heavy in competitive, which is gonna get looked at, so heavy is actually gonna get reduced. But for now, you wanna camp the heavy. Heavy wins games, so always make sure that you have control of the heavy, you have sight of the heavy, so you can just get the heavy as soon as it spawns, and you can always deny enemies the heavy. The heavy is just super important. I just can't stress that enough. You need to control heavy. But with that, we're gonna end today's video, guys. Hopefully all of you guys have enjoyed it, and I wish you luck on your journey to the Not Forgotten, and I hope that you make it there without much stealth. Anyways, thank you all for watching today. If you guys have any tips for Not Forgotten, make sure to leave them in the comments below. I'm sure everyone will appreciate them. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.